Welcome to the October 10th meeting of the Community Preservation Committee of North Andover. We're meeting tonight from the Select Board room, and we have no remote attendees. We will make every effort to allow the public to participate. They can send emails to cpcemails@northandover.gov, and we will respond to them during the meeting if we have time. If not, we will reply out. So, okay. So, let's get started. And this is being televised on public access television, Comcast Channel 8, Verizon Channel 26, or online at northandovercam.org. Okay, so for tonight, this is our last meeting before our public session on the 18th. Right. So we're going to talk a little bit about public outreach. We've talked to the town and the social media manager about getting the message out there. We'll get it in the weekly roundup of things that are going on. It's Thursday, November 14th. I'm sorry. So we'll have a robust campaign to try to attract people. We're also emailing prior grantees and people we've worked with in the past and in the future to the meeting to hear. And what we'll do is give an overview of the process, talk a little bit about the historical background and highlight some of the projects in town, and invite applicants to apply. I think we can all agree that North Andover has done tremendously well under the CPC with $40 million in projects and $13 million in state matching funds, including $13 million in state matching funds, which is great for a town of our size, because we, under John's leadership, got in early and have been, enthusiastic participants. So any other points on outreach for next month's public session?
What's our current match right now from the state?
Ooh, I would say it's like 14 to 17%. We might get a little bit extra. I'll take another look, and I can report on that for next meeting. But sometimes they do a supplemental, and you get 2 tranches of money. But no.
Okay, so whatever we commit, the state matches 14 to 17%.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
What's happened is that there's that sole source, which is the real estate fee, and there's no real estate, which is part of the problem. And then as more communities get into the program, the match doesn't go quite as far. Yeah. And then the third problem is that if you remember, there were a few years that the state threw in like 20, 30 million, and those days may be gone now, given the state budget problems. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I recall off the top of my head, or actually, I'll just pull up the presentation. We're talking about in North Andover running around 650,000. That was our estimate for the fiscal year. So, it's a pretty good match. So that actually, on the percentage basis, that's high.
The other thing that people don't realize is that on top of that, we have leveraged a fair number of open space grants from the state and from private fundraising, and probably to the tune of $5 million, and also from the housing perspective, the largest project we ever did, the money that we put in actually was the piece that drove the $10 million that the other parties put in. So you sometimes don't see that, but that's kind of the beneficial impact that we can have. So.
Okay. All right. Okay, so next on the agenda is quarterly reports. Zach, did we have anything And if you want to come up and speak so everyone can hear you, anything of significance? We have a great number of reports, which I think is great, and I appreciate Zach's outreach and contacting everybody. Anything that stuck out one way or the other?
Nothing out of the, I mean, we'll get to I have the Stevens Estate light on the agenda because it's its own issue, but everything else is pretty standard.
Right. Okay. Any questions on the quarterly reports? No, thanks for doing that. It's good to see that we have a form and we have applicants, reporting in and talking about how they're doing on different projects through the year. All right, Stevens Estate light fixtures is next. So the background is Zach, I read this once and then I saw the email come in
Okay.
later
Do you want
today.
me to-
Do you want to give a summary? Because
Okay.
I was prepared, and then that email came in like on my way home. So
Wait, which email?
from Joanne.
Oh, I haven't looked through that either.
Okay.
Is that the same project?
Is there a change in heart?
Oh, you know what? Actually,
I
it's
think that's a
a
different-
separate project that we'll
Yeah.
talk about next time. Okay. Sorry, I got crossed up.
Everything's consistent with what was in the.
Everything's
packet.
consistent with what's in the package. All right. So, all right. So in 2020, we appropriated $38,600 to fix the light fixtures at the Stevens Estate. No funds have been spent. And then we continue to own the Stevens Estate, but the management of the property is now with Fireside. And they have come back and said that they don't want to proceed with the project. And so, we have to decide what we want to do. And I think it's the opinion of the town, as the owners of the property, that we should close the project and unencumber the funds and put them back into the general. So, any discussion on that matter?
I guess the only point that I would make is, back in the day when we owned it and had funded and financed it, we actually threw a lot of money into it, probably more than we would have liked. But the one thing we had was, we had a lot of engagement with them. We kind of knew what they were up to, what the strategy was and so forth. And it's not clear to me now that it's managed by a third party. Nothing wrong with it, but I just don't know, what's their strategy. I'm glad, they invested a fair amount in it, but I do think at some point it's probably worth sitting down with them and, kind of getting a sense of what they're up to and if they're going to come to us in the future or not. Even something as simple as why they don't want to fund this, do this project when they have the money. I mean, I just don't know.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the town has been more engaged with us on the stables, but they haven't really talked about the main part.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be nice to know if at some point in time they're going to come back to us again for stuff in the main building. I mean,
All right. Any motions relative to the Stevens Estate light fixtures?
I can make the motion that we, how do I phrase this? That we withdraw those funds and have them unencumbered. How should I phrase that, Zach?
I think it's mostly just closing,
Yeah.
closing the account.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd make a motion that we close that account.
and authorize no further spending.
Yeah, and authorize no further spending.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, so we're all set with that. CPA monthly report. Take a look. In terms of our tax commitments, They're coming in right where we said they were gonna come in, about 2.5 million. In terms of spending this quarter, over the past few months, we've spent around $500,000, and the vast majority of that, would, as you can imagine, the barn preservation, about 74,000, the restoration of the boundary wall at the cemetery at Ridgewood was 125,000.
Boundary wall that was never there to begin with.
Yeah. And, a variety of other lake accesses continuing. Parsons barn restoration was about 40,000. So, it seems like projects have gotten off the ground in July and they've been spending.
What about the money for the stairs at the library, are they withdrawing on that?
Yeah, there definitely are. I'm just trying to find the light item. Yes, so 86,000 in July, 26,000 in August, 1,000 in September, and I know I signed off on a couple in October already.
It's gotta be coming close to an end, no?
Yeah. They did have I talked to the director, and they did have a shortage of rebar,
Yeah.
so that held them up for a long time. And then they also discovered more as they kind of dug in and had some.
Yeah, they had a
water
drainage issue or something,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Shortage of rebar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She also said that there was an issue with, I don't know if it was weather or temperature,
Yeah.
where it made more sense for them to essentially sit on the project for whatever it was, a month, in order to make it more secure or firm. I'm the wrong person to be sort of giving you the breakdown on this.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm asking it.
But
Rebar's usually not a shortage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
was surprised to hear that as well. And
Interesting.
then, but they also said, she also mentioned the weather and that they were doing a lot of testing as they poured everything. So, they sort of.
it was
poured and
put it this
tested.
way, it was thoughtfully delayed.
Yeah.
There was a reason for it.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Is Steve Foster very much in the mix with that, or is it the library itself?
I haven't spoken to Steve. I just happened to run into
Oh, okay.
Kathleen. So,
Can I ask a quick question, Bill? Is there a time frame that a recipient has to withdraw
No.
the money by? There is not.
no. That's why we
Okay.
close these projects.
Gotcha.
Sometimes that have been open for
A long time.
Do we have the authority to withdraw a project that we've already approved?
We can vote to close a project. I don't think I've ever seen us say that we're going to close a project that someone still wanted to do.
Gotcha.
We usually just work with the recipients. Okay. Anything else? The closed account memo relates to project number 1370, which is Housing Authority Kitchen and Bath. That project is complete from fiscal year 20. That's a good example, fiscal year 20. COVID,
Yep.
lots of delays. Do we have any discussion about the Housing Authority Kitchen and Baths? We have a motion relative to project 370, the Housing Authority Kitchen and Bath.
Motion to close the project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay. That brings us to the minutes of September 12th meeting. Do we have any motions relative to the minutes for September 12th?
Motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. I would, highlight again, anybody that you know in the community that wants to come on the 14th for the public hearing. We'd like to have a good turnout and a robust program. We have a little business we might attend. We can close the public session after we've heard for every session is public, so it's kind of a misnomer to say that we're closing the public session, but we can kind of finish the presentation and the back and forth, and there are a couple things that came up post meetings meeting minutes being finalized, but before this meeting, but we can't talk about them until we put them on an agenda, so we can do that next month. Any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.